Small brain, liking your own comment. Big brain, disliking your own comment. Hey guys, it's me again, and welcome to the top 5 Watch Mojo, the Henry Stickmin endings. You ready? Okay, number 1 is the lightning quick larcenist ending. And number 2 is the one where Ellie pulls out a gun while she's driving, and how much can I mock that type of YouTuber that even other YouTubers hate? Apparently a lot. Anyway, hey guys, it's me again, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'm going to be ranking every single Henry Stickmin ending and putting them in order from 1 to 32. That's right, in total, in this whole series, there are 32 different endings, and I'm going to be ranking them today. So, first of all, what do I have in front of me right now? Well, this is my primary photo editing program that I use, in case you were wondering. And I have a little spreadsheet here that I've made of every single Henry Stickmin ending and which game it's from, and so on. By the way, you'll notice that if you move 2 of the endings around, you'll get a perfect 32 by 32 table split perfectly down to the middle into 4 by 4 16 square blocks, and it is very satisfying that that's just how it happened to be. Anyway, so let's start with Breaking the Bank. Without further ado. Now, why am I even including Breaking the Bank, though? I mean, it only has one ending. But it is an ending. Like, even though Breaking the Bank is technically the prologue and it only has 5 fails and 1 ending, I still felt it was worth including because, well, if this ending hadn't happened, we wouldn't have gotten the whole series. I just put in this achievement here of the one you get when you finish the game. And so there you go. That's the Breaking the Bank ending. The story begins. Next up is Escaping the Prison. Now, you'll notice that I have a forced ranking system going on. Like, because I'm super indecisive and I'm really bad at picking favorites, I figured I would need to force compare each of them to each other in order to get a clean ranking system. So, to be fair, there will be a lot of endings that I hold in the same regard, but I'll have to compare them to each other just for the sake of getting an actual ranking out of all of them. And yes, there are really 32 of them. Trust me, I counted. Alright, so first things first, what we're going to do is explain my reasoning, I guess. So the first ending I put on this list that's the number 1 for Escaping the Prison is Badass Bust Out. Now, I like this ending partially because it has that one bullet dodging scene, like Matrix style. I'm trying not to take too much of what happens before the endings into account. I'm trying to just focus on the ending itself. You know, where does Henry end up and where does he presumably go after the ending, you know? But I still feel like Badass Bust Out is the best one because it's just, like, it's so ridiculous, but it's also so satisfying. Second place is Sneaky Escapist, just because, well, it's also pretty satisfying. Like, nobody even knows that you left. Like, for all they know, you're still in your cell. And the last ending is Lawyered Up in the 3rd spot, also known as the lame ending.
Lame ending? How is that lame? That was awesome. I love Phoenix Wright. It's one of my favorite games.
Alright, next up is Stealing the Diamond. So in first place, I put Just Plain Epic, because, obviously, this is also the ending in the game where we see the Center for Chaos Containment for the first time, which is a recurring thing in the series. And it's pretty cool because, I mean, badass explosions, you know? Second place is Unseen Burglar, also known as the Undetected ending. And that one is obviously really cool because obviously, you know, in and out. Nobody even knew you were there. It's pretty cool and very satisfying. And in last place is Intruder on a Scooter, also known as the Aggressive ending. Just because, like, not that I hate this ending, obviously, I just like the other ones more. I think that's also worth noting, is that a lot of these that are in quote-unquote last place for their game is not actually an ending I dislike at all, it's just that I like the other ones more, so I put them higher in the ranking, because remember, I'm forcing a ranking between them. Alright, so these first few games are pretty cool, but at the end of the day, Henry doesn't end up in a different place because of them. Like, no matter how you escape the prison, you still end up getting out. And no matter how you steal the diamond, you still end up with a diamond in the end. Although, fun fact, the Lawyered Up ending is weird to me just because of the fact that I'm pretty sure Henry Stickmin, like, forged evidence and then Felix White, like, presented that in court. Like, probably not even knowing that it was falsified evidence. Which is pretty, I'm not going to think about that too much. Next up is the first game where Henry actually ends up in a different place than where he started. It's different for all the endings, rather, I guess. And that's infiltrating the airship. So number one place, obviously, is government-supported private investigator. This is the best ending if you prefer Charles and the government over everything else.
Oh man, that duck just flew right into the propeller. Oh, what a mess.
Relentless Bounty Hunter is in the second place because it's a pretty cool ending. It's not bad. It still keeps you in the government's good graces, even though you're ultimately, like, on your own. Third place is Pure-Blooded Thief. It's a pretty epic ending. I mean, you end up with a giant ruby in the end. Henry just kind of goes off on his own, and it establishes him as an anti-hero rather than, like he's a morally gray character, is what I mean, you know? And in last place is Rapidly Promoted Executive. I gotta be honest, I'm not really fond of the Top Hats, so I guess that's also worth noting, is that this is all my own opinion, and to be fair, if you really like the Top Hats, this is the best ending in escaping or infiltrating the airship. Next up is Fleeing the Complex. Number one spot, obviously, is Convict Allies, because I love Ellie, and I love the fact that they end up escaping together. I'm a sucker for character interactions, so obviously Convict Allies is a hard number one spot. Second place is International Rescue Operative, because obviously, Charles.
Just jump off the edge.
Wait, was that the plan?
And also just because it's a pretty cool ending. Like, it shows that Henry ends up at the complex whether he's actually pardoned or not, so that's pretty interesting. And it establishes Petrov, this guy, this weirdo, as also morally gray, but in a different way than Henry is. I don't know, I think it's pretty cool. Third place is Presumed Dead. Now, this is a cool ending just because, well, obviously he's presumed dead. Petrov doesn't even come after him because he assumes that he's dead. I think in general, endings where you're assumed to be dead are pretty cool, just on principle alone. Fourth place is Ghost Inmate, and even though this is a pretty cool ending, the only reason I put it so low on the list is because you have to abandon Ellie in order to get it, and obviously with Convict Allies in number one, that was going to be a given that I wasn't going to be fond of Ghost Inmate. And finally, in the number 5 spot, last place, is The Betrayed. I mean, was anyone really expecting anything differently? I mean, I put The Betrayed as a sad ending in the thumbnail, so, like, I mean, you were expecting I probably wasn't going to like it very much. And ultimately, this is the reason why I'm not fond of the Top Hats, because Reginald was willing to drop Henry, like, as soon as possible. Like, he could have just left Henry at the complex and it wouldn't have changed that much. Like, there was no reason for him to be so extra about it. It does make sense. I mean, obviously, Reginald felt really slighted by Henry just taking his whole operation from him by force. But I still feel like it was a little bit unnecessary, you know what I mean? Alright, so now we've gone through the first 5 games in the series, the prologue as well as episodes 1 through 4. Now, you'll notice that on my chart here, I have separated completing the mission into 4 separate categories, and that's because completing the mission literally has the same amount of endings as every other game in this series combined. So, with so many endings, I decided I was going to put them into smaller lists just so it would be easier to keep track in my head, you know? I've sorted them based on what ending you need to get from infiltrating the airship in order to get this ending. So, first of all, we're going to look at the government-supported private investigator endings. Number 1 spot, obviously, is Triple Threat. I already made it clear that I love Ellie, and I also love Charles. So, if Ellie and Charles are your favorite characters, Triple Threat is by far the best ending. In the number 2 spot, we have Special Brovert Ops. Now, if Charles is your favorite character, then this is the best ending. So, obviously, I think it's an incredible ending. It's also my favorite place in the game to, like, play through. I don't know, there's something really charming about Charles and about his route in this ending, you know. Now, the number 3 spot might surprise some of you because in number 3, I put Valiant Hero. Now, by far, Valiant Hero is the most infamous ending in the whole series, and you can tell just by scrolling through fandom sites that people were really affected and shocked by this ending. Now, why didn't I put it in the number 4 spot? I mean, if it's so hated. But the thing is, in my opinion, it's the most important ending, at least when it comes to Charles. Because you know the phrase, you don't know what you have until it's gone? I think the VH ending, it surprised us, you know? It's kind of like what happened with Sans in Undertale. Like, for 90% of the whole game, in the whole pacifist and in all of the neutral runs, He's just kind of a side jokey kind of character. But then you push him so hard that he suddenly breaks and he becomes a totally different person. And that was so shocking that it pretty much rocketed Sans into infamy. The same thing goes for the Valiant Hero ending. I think it was important for us to see Charles sacrificing himself for the good of the world, just because, I don't know, it's just one of those things where it's really sad, but it's also really honorable at the same time. So I can't put the VH ending too low, even though it makes me really sad, because I don't think it's actually that bad of an ending. And lastly, we've got Cleaned Him Out, which is a pretty cool ending, I guess, but it also feels kind of lonely, so that's why I put it so low on the list. Alright, moving on. Next up are the endings that you get in completing the mission if you select Relentless Bounty Hunter on the first screen. The number 1 spot is Master Bounty Hunter. And no, I'm not just saying that because of all the stupid dance-off scenes. Although that might have something to do with it. No, it's because you get this ending by selecting Relentless Bounty Hunter and International Rescue Operative on the first screen. And obviously, since it involves Charles a little bit more than other Relentless Bounty Hunter endings, I am going to favor it over others. The one I put in the number 2 spot is Capital Gains, which is Relentless Bounty Hunter and Convict Allies, obviously. This one is actually probably the best ending if you like Ellie and Henry, but not really anyone else, because they just kind of get away with a lot of money by themselves. The one in the number 3 spot is Free Man, which, I mean, it's pretty cool just on principle alone, but obviously I'm not fond of the Ghost Inmate endings, so, you know, that's part of why this one is so low. And the number 4 spot is Little Nest Egg, which I also didn't really like just because it felt lonely. I'll be explaining this a bit more later. Next up is Pure Blooded Thief. Now, the first one is Pardon Pals, obviously, because Charles. Number 2 spot, I put Stickman's Space Resort, because that one's pretty cool, too. Number 3 spot is Jewel Baron, which I don't have much to say about, other than the charging of supreme dominance. And number 4 is Top Hat Recruits, obviously, because I'm not fond of the Top Hats. I put them in the last spot.
You've taken everything from me. My reputation is ruined. Now I will ruin you!
Although that doesn't mean I hate them, don't get me wrong. Now, what's interesting about Pardon Pals and Top Hat Recruits is that you actually get them by selecting the same endings from Infiltrating the Airship and Fleeing the Complex. And that is Pure Blooded Thief and Convict Allies. But right near the end, there are 4 options that you can pick for whose side you should be on. If you select the Complex or none, those will lead to failures, but if you select the Government or the Top Hats, then those will lead to these separate endings. The Government will get you Pardon Pals, and the Top Hats will get you Top Hat Recruits. And finally, we have Rapidly Promoted Executive. Now, the absolute best ending, if you like the Top Hats, is Top Hat King, obviously. And also, if you like Ellie, this one is the best, because it follows from Convict Allies. Next up is Top Hat for Life in the number 2 spot. I think I just put this one here because I don't hate it as much as the other ones. Sorry, I'm just not a fan of the Top Hats, okay? Sue me. The number 3 spot is Top Hat Civil Warfare, which is, I think, the only ending you can get that has Ellie in it, even though it's a Ghost Inmate ending. So you abandon her, you didn't escape with her. And the last one is Revenged. Now, the thing about the Betrayed and Revenged is that, like, they're the only endings that go together, first of all, but also, the Betrayed was the first ending I saw in the game that actually made me, like, really think that the Henry Stickmin games were a bigger deal than I thought they were. Like, everyone was obsessed with the VH ending, but nobody considered that Revenged is actually probably the worst ending in the whole series, because it pretty much sucks for everyone. You don't even see Charles at all. He's just absent, so we don't even know where he is. Not to mention, it's a canonical ending where Henry dies. And that's just really sad. So we finally made it to the end. Alright, so now that I've gone through my list and my reasoning for why these things are in these places, I am going to just start ranking them, I guess. So first we're going to start with the best and the worst endings. So, first of all, Triple Threat is the best ending to me, by far. It takes the number 1 spot, for reasons I already mentioned. And then, next up is Special Brovert Ops. Honestly, I would consider Special Brovert Ops to be the best ending in the entire series, but it doesn't include Ellie, so I had to bump it down to the number 2 spot, but otherwise it would be number 1. So, what next? Well, how about we take the worst ending and put it right at the bottom? Now, in defense of Revenged, it does include one of my favorite characters who I think should have played a bigger role, and that's Dr. Vinspinselstein. I think that's how you pronounce her name. She's the one who gives Henry his cybernetic upgrades after he is betrayed by Reginald. But everything else about this ending kind of sucks. The Betrayed I'm going to put right above Revenged because at least in The Betrayed, it's left ambiguous as to whether or not Henry dies, but in Revenge, we clearly see that he dies. And it's not like a funny failure where, like, oh, Lamau, he's dead, because those are just funny fails. It's not the same as actually seeing someone die, like, seriously, you know? Okay, now we've come to the difficult part. What to put in the next few spots. Okay, I think in the number 3 spot, I'm going to put International Rescue Operative, just because I don't know, there's something really cool about, like, the teamwork between Henry and Charles and the way it plays out in this run. I think it's really great. Next up, I think I'm going to put Convict Allies, because that one is pretty cool. And, of course, I have a bit of a bias for Ellie. So Convict Allies takes the number 4 spot. Okay, quick editor's note. You will notice that I switch the places of some endings as I'm putting them in the bigger table. And the reason for that is I think it just really goes to show how conflicted I was about certain endings. In reality, I hold Convict Allies and International Rescue Operative pretty much equally. So it was really difficult, like, trying to force a ranking between them. So if you see that throughout the video, that's what's going on. Just so you know. Now, one ending I'm pretty fond of also is Pardon Pals, because of how it plays out, and also because we get more character development from Petrov. I just love how he speaks with a lisp, because Ellie knocked like 4 of his teeth out.
Send in the entire squad. You two will never see the light of day again. You've taken everything from me.
Yeesh, this is harder than I thought it would be. Now, this is definitely going to surprise some of you, because next, I think I'm going to put Valiant Hero in the number 6 spot, because, like I said, I think it's an important ending, even though it's really sad. I think this would probably be a good time to put in Government-Supported Private Investigator. I think it's a pretty cool ending, and it leads to a lot of the other endings that I really like. Now, how about we pick an ending that I'm not fond of? How about Top at Civil Warfare? I think that's a pretty bad ending. Just because, again, it's an ending that sucks for pretty much everyone. Even Ellie. Yeah. Alright, yeah, that seems good. Let's do that. Okay, I think next up I'm going to put Little Nest Egg in the next last spot down here. Now, you might be wondering why I don't seem to be fond of this ending at all, and that's because I'm not sure how to explain it. Have you I don't know if this is common with other people who have depression, but sometimes when I'm really depressed but I'm not suicidal, I get this feeling that tomorrow just doesn't exist, as if I'm going to go to sleep and then, like, there will just be nothingness. Like, you know how you can't remember anything from before you were born? It's kind of like that, just a blink, you know? Little Nest Egg and other similar endings like it kind of give me that feeling, just because, like, if you've ever seen that show, The Last Man on Earth, you'll know that even if you have all of the riches in the whole world, having other people around is what makes life worth living. So Little Nest Egg just feels like a lonely ending to me, so that's why I'm putting it so far down on the list. Because other endings like Triple Threat or Convict Allies, they leave a possibility for the future, you know? Like, Henry actually has somewhere to go now, but in Little Nest Egg and in other endings like it, he just kinda has a lot of money, I guess. Alright, maybe I should try comparing a bunch of these endings to each other, because this is going to take forever if I do this one at a time. Capital Gains, I think I'm going to put it... No, not Capital Gains. I think Cleaned 'Em Out I'm going to put down pretty far, just because it also has that sort of lonely feeling. you know? Top hat for life. Would I put it below? Would I put it above or below? Alright, next up. These 3 endings obviously are in order. Would I put these above or below? I think I'm gonna take this ending, bring it down a little bit, and then take these. Ugh. Transparency is annoying. There we go. So I think that's, yeah, this is, alright, I'm doing this. Now let's see what we can do with this one. This one's probably the most mediocre ending, just because not really much happens, and it's really just the beginning of the story, so I'm gonna put it somewhere like right smack dab in the middle. Alright, I'm gonna move Relentless Bounty Hunter and Pure-Blooded Thief up, and then I'm going to move The Story Begins between them like this. You guys okay with that? I'm sure you are. Oops. Okay, now I just need to figure out. Well, I mean, I'm getting there, so. These endings I think I'm gonna put pretty low, just because they're kind of, like, pretty much all of them are kind of mediocre, so yeah, I think I'll put them between like this. Yeah, that works. Not bad. So this is gonna go in the middle here somewhere, but I'm not sure where. I think actually I'm gonna take all of the Relentless Bounty Hunter endings, and I'm going to put them here, just because I think they're pretty cool endings, but they're like, I don't know, they're not my favorite, you know? Top Hat Recruits I'm gonna put pretty low on the list. Not sure where, but I'll just put it here for now. Right above Little Nest Egg. And should I put these above or below? I feel like these are all kind of similar to each other, so I think they should all be on the list in the same place. I'll put them in the middle somewhere. Now, Presumed Dead and Ghost Inmate. Where should I put those? Presumed Dead, I think actually I'm going to put right below Free Man. Presumed Dead, cool ending obviously, but Free Man is also pretty cool, and I don't know. Just work with me here, okay? Now, Ghost Inmate, as cool of an ending as it is, I still sort of dislike it, obviously, because you have to abandon Ellie. So, I'm gonna put it right below Cleaned Him Out, but right above Top Hat for Life. Okay, now I only have a few more endings left to sort before I can put them all in order. So, Stickman Space Resort and Jewel Baron. I think they're pretty cool endings. I think I like them more than these endings. I'll put them below Pure-Blooded Thief. How about that? Alright, so we started with the best and the worst. Now we're just sorting through the mediocre. Now obviously, the Top Hat King ending is the best ending if you like the Top Hat clan. But where should I put it? Let's see, I definitely like Relentless Bounty Hunter and Pure-Blooded Thief more. And Stickman Space Resort. Okay, how about I put it above The Story Begins? Whoops. Now remember, The Story Begins is the most mediocre ending of the whole series, so it's going to be in the middle somewhere. And Top Hat King, I don't know, I like other endings more than I like Top Hat King, so I guess we're just going to go with that. Now all that's left to do is figure out where to put the Stealing the Diamond endings, and we'll be good. So, oh, I know where to put them. I'll put them right above The Story Begins. There we go. Okay, I am almost done. Now, let me just make sure these line up. Presumed Dead above Relentless Bounty Hunter. Yeah, I think that's good. And Rapidly Promoted Executive is above Top Hat Recruits, and yeah, I think we're good. Alright, so now I just have to put this in the middle here. Perfect. And with that, I have sorted every single Henry Stickmin ending and determined which, in fact, is the best and the worst and the most mediocre. Alright, so from the bottom, you guys ready for the lightning round? Okay, here we go. 32, Revenged. 31, The Betrayed. 30, Top Hat Civil Warfare. 29, Little Nest Egg. 28, Top Hat Recruits. 27, Rapidly Promoted Executive. 26, Top Hat for Life. 25, Ghost Inmate. 24, cleaned him out. 23, lawyered up. 22, sneaky escapist. 21, badass bust out. 20, the story begins. 19, intruder on a scooter. 18, unseen burglar. 19, just plain epic. 16, top hat king. 15, jewel baron. 14, Stickman Space Resort. 13, pure-blooded thief. 12, relentless bounty hunter. 11, presumed dead. 10, free man. 9, capital gains.
Happy feet.
8, master bounty hunter. 7, government-supported private investigator. 6, valiant hero. 5, pardoned pals. 4, convict allies. 3, international rescue operative. 2, special Brovert ops. And number 1, triple threat. And there you have it. Whew. That was a little more difficult than I was expecting, and to be fair, I probably didn't sort these exactly as I probably wanted. I did my best, though. I think I did pretty well considering the circumstances. So, every single Henry Stickmin ending rated from 32 to 1. Isn't it so perfect that there are 32 endings when 32 is a perfect square number, so you can cut it in half forever until you get all the way to 0, my dudes. So, thank you all so much for watching this video. This is probably the most involved video that I've made in recent years. Alright, so, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Oh, now that's cute.